Welcome to the rAVe Esports Show with me, your host, Bubba Gaddert. Thanks so much for being here on today's episode as we sit down with Chris Postel. He is the Chief Gaming Officer of Esports Foundry based out of Ohio. And today we're going to talk about monetization, sponsorship, and activations in the esports space. Enjoy! We would like to thank our very special sponsors this season, Extron. Without you, our show is not possible at rAVe Pubs for the rAVe Esports Show. Thank you so much for your support, and we look forward to working with you more. If you'd like to learn more, check out extron.com/esports. All right, Chris, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing well, Bubba. Thank you so much for having me. We just actually moved into a new house, so you are my first interview moving in this next chapter of my life. Thank you so much for having me.
That is amazing. It looks beautiful. You're in Ohio. You've moved somewhere from Ohio to another place in Ohio, I guess.
That is absolutely correct. Ever since we got married, there have been just a couple of changes in our life, and one of those important changes that needed to happen was Lindsay and I moving in together, my wife, and having our own full place for ourselves to really just nest into, decorate, and live in. And we're so happy that we've got this beautiful home. It's got multiple offices. It's got multiple bedrooms. It's got everything that we could ask for.
We've known each other for a while. I think we met at an event in Chicago on like a top floor, some event. We met officially, and ever since then, I could do nothing but follow how amazing you are all the time. And I wanted to just jump into Esports Foundry. Can you give me just a bit of, for those who aren't familiar with what Esports Foundry is, just so we can just understand the scope of the business you work in esports around what Esports Foundry does? Tell us about what your team does, the different offerings you have, from software to tournaments to organizations to everything. Can you just lay that out just so people understand who you are and what you do?
Sure. So Esports Foundry is a services provider in the esports and gaming and education space. We look at ourselves as a dedicated support. We're here to help, and we're here to help in every single way that we can. We impact most of the avenues of both grassroots, Scholastic, and convention-based esports and gaming. Entertainment. So what does that mean? We own and operate LAN centers, number one. So we operate brick and mortar physical retail locations in which we engage in business Monday through Sunday, and we've been doing that since 2016. We also take that as a foundation, and we share those blueprints with the world. So we do a lot of facility consulting, facility rendering, build outs, procurement, installations. We help other people build engaging spaces for others because we know, having operated them for so long, what the trends are and what people want to see and what a business needs to see from a sustainability standpoint. So we offer that. We also have another business called Critical Apparel, in which we direct manufacture all of our own merchandise and gear. The polo shirt I'm wearing was made by us. And we are really proud to say that we do apparel and merchandising for hundreds of schools across the United States, a couple of pro org teams, current and past, as well as a couple of creators, current and past. And so that's a huge passion of ours. And we're actually opening a new retail location for that, a new warehouse, which will be opening next month, about 8,000 square feet, to really ramp up our productions even more. And to what you said, we also offer software. So going back to our gaming centers, we created our own software on how to operate them and how to manage public users using privately owned PCs. And we exported that to the rest of the world. So we sell those to nonprofits, we sell those to schools, we sell those to civic organizations, we sell those to other gaming centers. And we're very proud of what we have. It's not everything in the world, but it is everything to us, and we make it for what we need, and we believe that other people find value in that. And lastly, with all the experience that we have in the space, the things that I mentioned are all very tertiary. We are directly involved bringing all of our gear, all of our fleet that we have accrued from our LAN centers or just invested in all across the United States and North America, helping stand up some of the largest gaming events in our industry, whether it's making trophies or whether it's just simply providing 100 computers or whether it's doing the production or the tournament operations behind some of the largest FGC or PC-based gaming events. We're in the background, we're here to help, and that's what we like doing. We really just work so other people can play. Very wordy, but that's Esports Foundry in a nutshell.
Well, it's just a few things, obviously, but I will tell you, coming over here to the UK, your organization is much needed. I hate to drill it down to one-stop shop for you, but is there a better term, a more marketable term that you may use?
No, we do use that term. We, do we like that term as much? We're a little more than a shop, right? But we literally do offer almost everything, and the things that we don't offer, we partner with other vendors and other providers so that we can make sure that we're being as inclusive as possible to our clients.
Well, I have mentioned Tactics multiple times over here, and if you get some random school in North England call you, can you handle Europe?
Yes.
Software. Okay.
Yes.
That's great. That's really good because I know how good your product is because I've seen it.
Yeah, we actually have it in we have Tactics and its successor that we've been building out called Phoenix. We actually have it in Ukraine and Poland. A couple small centers there, nothing too big, but we are international.
Great. Wow. Well, I was thinking along the lines of tech. A lot of the people that watch these the rAVe Esports show are really in the audiovisual industry, and when you're building a space like your LAN centers and your gaming centers, or you're doing amazing stuff down at Esports Stadium Arlington, and watching you work with all the people that you work with, as I just watch the amazing amounts of miles and miles of wires and cables being put together. And we look around those spaces, and when it comes to lighting and visual effects and boards and LCD panels, everything, motion arrays, anything, if you were to talk to someone in the AV space that doesn't understand esports but wants to get in, but they're very, very good at building out pretty and entertaining venues, what is a strategy, especially for maybe applying that to sponsorship so they can build, or convincing people that esports could be something along their lines in AV?
Yeah, absolutely. So if I were to talk to like an AV partner, we've talked to a few of them here in the state of Ohio or throughout the United States. But what I generally tell people is that when you're going outside of what we would call show pro, the biggest marketplace that these companies are used to is the worship industry. So we're thinking big stages, big screens, big lights, big budgets. Within the world of esports, the difference between worship and gaming is that we're a lot more nomadic. So we're not generally locked down to a single venue. And what we need solutions that couple and decouple easily. What that also means is that we don't necessarily need Ovation quality gear or Elation gear or the highest end of rAVe or insert name here. Maybe we need a mixture of just a couple of really good ellipsoidals, and maybe we need a lot of wash lights. DMX capability and programmability of L1s or A1s or ClearCom, or what we might view in a general show pro as a benchmark or a standard, may not be there yet within esports because it's non-linear. You have a lot of grassroots IP and grassroots communities that have grown slowly, and they're in the position of moving up the parabolic shift. And then you have the established professional, which has gone up the parabolic shift, and they will work with a lot of the pro AV. Now, are there a lot of those gigs? Yes and no. You get the big gig, it's going to be the same thing as getting a big gig down in Vegas. You want to sell those 100%. The sweet spot that we are in is we've been looking at the Scholastic space. because the institutions, the universities, and the high schools are leveraging the most important thing about esports, which is that it is high-tech entertainment, cross-functional with other utilization. What does that mean? Well, it means that if you were to build a CTE classroom environment that is dedicated to STEM skills, the room that you're building in esports can translate to that. If you're looking to take a multi-use space like a auditorium and make it esports ready, chances are it's TED Talk ready. Chances are it's comedy show ready now. And so the opportunity is to take esports as a vehicle for those that are looking to be multifaceted but need an anchor for either a grant-based project or a institutional directive, and let esports and gaming be that anchor, but also carrying forward the other initiatives that are coming with it. And so that has been the most successful work that we've done with other integration companies, or taking what we would call the more non-endemic side of the AV space of esports and gaming and bringing them into our ecosphere. Those are the most successful means of how we define and spell it out.
Do you think it's the collegiate space with 5,000 whatever universities and colleges in the North America, I guess United States, and the a couple hundred that have some sort of multi-purpose or few specific to esports spaces? Is that a very under tapped space for those trying to get in, to put in their tech, put in their seats, put in their chairs, put in their lights, computers? Is that
yeah? Well, I'm going to give you the wordy answer. The short answer is yes. The wordy answer is you can go on our website, esportsfoundry.com, and request any of the free data reports that we do on our space. We know conclusively that the marketplace for institutional investment in higher education and in esports facilities is north of $250 million, pretty much annually. And that's due to new construction, but it's also due to retrofitting and warranty replacements that are par for the course within these institutional environments. And a lot of people aren't looking, candidly, for these types of projects, or they're not aware of these projects. Typically, an architect or a builder will be requested by the university, hey, we want to do this, and they'll be like, sure. But in reality, what they need is a dedicated partner that can explain to them the proper use case of 1,500 or 3,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 square feet of space, so that space is maximalized. We see that every day, and that is one of our biggest business verticals. You mentioned
your reports on your website, which so people can look at it and download it, and then your previous reports. I know you have new ones coming out that maybe if you want to mention anything, but your previous reports talking about close to 30% of those institutions are maybe securing financial sponsorships. When we're talking about the scholarships that are there and the money being used there, but really the fundraising for those sponsorships, if a Maryville or whatever, the pro team with what did Kirky say? A pro team with college jerseys on, they're raising, I'm sure, lots of money and getting big numbers there and winning a lot compared to any other smaller university around the country. Fundraising, sponsorship, the data you have in your 23-24 report on sponsorship and who's getting stuff compared to what you're hearing now, is there anything like that you can share about your new report coming out? Maybe that data, or maybe there's new numbers, because
there's always new numbers. Yeah, me too. We're both numbers guys. I think some of the most exciting data that changed this past academic year from the previous is that those that have clear appetite for investment and a plan forward for growth are reaping the benefits of the early adaptation of the execution of their strategies. What I mean by that is not necessarily being a part of the space guarantees you access to whatever your heart's desire is, but that if you exist within the top 10 percentile in the category of esports and gaming that you do, whether it's academic integration, summer camps, workforce development, or peer-on competition, right? It could be student engagement. There are a lot of avenues for sponsorship and fundraising, and the biggest fundraisers now in our space here in North America have surpassed $10 million raised for a single institution. And that's not money coming out of the university. That's money raised for their initiatives, which means a donor or multiple donors or federal grants or state money has opted in to support in those means and measures, which is highly successful. On the cash sponsorship side, it's a little more crusty. There's a lot of limitations with esports being only in its second decade, right, of existence. And we're only getting to the point now where about 40% of our institutions have now had esports for 5 years, which is a watermark within itself. But it's only 5 years. I mean, the average student is in college for 4. How much does the campus change in 4 years? It may not at all in some cases. And so what we are seeing is a gradual change forward in how these departments get further integrated, for example, within the foundation, within the comptroller's office, within the office of the president, within the VP of finance's office. And the schools that are able to do that well see a much greater agency in terms of being able to fundraise and become integrated within the university's core fundraising efforts. And so we have seen some large dollars come in. We've seen the $4 million donations, the 7-figure donations coming in now to multiple schools. Not a lot of schools, but it's increasing slowly over time. The highest success rate is when institutions are using esports as a vehicle to fulfill their workforce development charges, because it targets a lot of STEM students. And those STEM students are valuable, and we want to keep them in our local economies. And so many universities that are working towards, for example, statewide initiatives, or with their governor's office, or with their legislative offices in collaboration with big business, esports is an attractor to them, and those who are pulling it off are pulling it off. Not loudly, keep in mind, but loud enough for the pieces of power to get behind and support it. And they're results driven, and so we know that these aren't one-offs because we're seeing the data slowly parabolically increase. If they were one-offs, we would see the data spike up and then spike back down. And in some cases that is the case, but looking at the United States at the very least, right? The United States, North America, Canada, we are seeing a very slight uptrend, which gives us the impression that by 2030, there's going to be, for those who are integrating, a much deeper focus of integration. It will be almost as if there are two paths forward for esports. You have the student life and rec center approach, in which esports is an offering, much like the rock climbing wall, much like the gymnasium and the pool, much like many of the clubs or institutions that are supported with the university, or it's departmental, and it's just as impactful as the Office of Research. It's just as impactful as the athletics department. And for a lot of smaller institutions that are D2, D3, D4, in which their enrollment is 5,000 or under, esports can be a double-digit draw of campus population, which also means it's a double-digit source in some cases for overall budgeting and tuition-based enrollment revenue. So it is absolutely a powerful tool. And going back to your long question about sponsorship and such, there's a lot of authentic ways that these departments, which may feel smaller on paper comparative to other ways, can really move the needle with their strategic partners strongly because they leverage that proportional student body in ways that are not limited to, I'm in athletics, this is my seat. I'm in student affairs, this is my seat. We sit between the two, and that is where you can be very creative. And so esports allows these partners to likewise be creative in ways where they can't be, but they'd really like to.
To wrap up this thought here, I want to thinking about sponsorship activations and the future of esports sponsorship, because you've talked about where we are. I want to make sure people understand. I would call it the ick, but I know it's a Gen Z term, but like, what does an authentic and genuine esports sponsorship activation look like, and what should people avoid? And then secondly, to finish up the conversation, is what is the future of sponsorship in esports?
Gotcha. Well, that's such a broad question. I think you can categorize it. What is an authentic media sponsorship? What is an authentic event sponsorship? What is an authentic physical sponsorship? So I think the most important thing that brands need to understand when engaging with gaming is that it's a subclass of entertainment, which means that ultimately gaming is a medium that is used to compete for people's attention. And we compete for attention on every different platform. We compete for attention on TikTok and on mobile games and on Reddit. We compete for attention on our televisions, watching Love is Blind or watching, the UK edition, obviously, or Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Gaming is a permanent fixture of people's attention, and that's where it's valuable. And so if I am a event, then the most important thing is that I want the people who are attending the event to think that I think the way that they think. It's not necessarily that I'm going to go to this event and sell 1 million products. It's that I'm going to go to this event and they are going to realize that, I don't know the local UK-based grocery store brand, but please forgive me, we'll say them, that they are gamers. Oh my God, I love that. The local IT company option prioritizes me as a gamer. Well, clearly I'm going to go with them then. It's about culture, zeitgeist, and ethos when it comes to the event side. When it comes to a physical side, it could be as simple as utilizing gamers to do quantitative and qualitative market research by integrating your tech into the forefront of physical and digital entertainment, this blend, right? And being able to get that live feedback. And we see that with hardware, we see that with software, we see that with furniture, we see that with components, we see that with merchandising. Esports is a better litmus test than most conventions or trade shows to get real honest opinion of, is my item part of, again, going back to that zeitgeist, is it on the forefront, or is it just a trend? Is it a blip? Did we miss the mark? Chances are, if the gamers are endorsing it, chances are the social media crew will endorse it. Chances are TikTok will endorse it. Chances are millennials, Gen A, Gen Alpha, Gen Z will endorse it. On the other side of the fence, as we're looking at gamers from the perspective of, this is our entertainment space, this is what we do in our spare time, and these are the tools and technologies that we engage with, just as Canva disrupted Adobe, just as OBS disrupted TriCaster, and how vMix has, to a small degree, disrupted OBS, and there's other groups that are doing that. When we're talking about AV, it's the same concept. We need to make sure that the people of today's generation, if we're pitching Ross, or if we're talking about TriCaster or Grass Valley or K-Frame, they don't care. The big clients of tomorrow are creators. The big clients of tomorrow are these event IP that are spawned from digital inclusion and parasocial relationship building. They're not going to care what you're pitching them from an AV integration standpoint, but they will know, like, oh, we're OBS techs, or oh, we're vMix techs.
Yeah.
The same vein as if you can move that needle by making the current generation of those creators use your tools. And so by integrating those in a classroom, integrating those in events, integrating those in the culture creatives and getting those tools in hands, you can extend the average lifespan of a product by making it cultural to a large subsect of individuals who are engaging within society through gaming. And if it's in the academic world, then it's curated gaming. And that's where it becomes cultural. Mm-hmm. So that's one really important side on the product end. The last bit is within workforce development, because a lot of our students are STEM. A lot of our students are living in this forefront of being a digital nomad, but they're also living in the real world. And we need those people that can speak communications, Marcom, and coding. We need those people who understand AI and almost treat it as water to them. They breathe it, they drink it. It's not a foreign concept. And we need those people locally. And so if you're a local company, maybe you're a mid-cap business, maybe you're a startup business, or even if you're a large scale, the end of the day is you need people where you're headquartered, you need people where your office is. And if you can't find that talent locally, maybe you should look through the gaming ecosystem, go to where they are, follow the steps that I outlined, and you can find that high-level talent who will willingly go to you instead of Netflix, Tesla, Apple, Microsoft, Meta, because they know that you agree with what they deem important to their life, which is their entertainment. And that could be enough to move the needle, and that could be enough to candidly cost save against HR, recruitment, headhunting firms, or it can cost save on retention, right? It can increase user retention, employee retention, and so you don't have to cycle talent, you don't have to lose, you can keep strong talent longer if culturally they believe that you care about what they're doing, and hopefully you do. And if you are in gaming and esports, authenticity is key. And if you're not authentic, the people will figure that out pretty quickly, and your message will either disappear like noise in the TikTok ethoverse, or it'll become cultural. And so I've been very wordy there, Bubba, but I hope that my answer was helpful to you.
No, I love that, man. Put that on a t-shirt, and we need people who know it like water. Well, I love the conversation of AI, especially as an educator, like just telling students people aren't losing jobs to AI, they're losing jobs to people who know how to use AI. Chris, it was great, man, having you. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk about sponsorship and activations and monetization and esports and all the really amazing stuff you're doing at Esports Foundry. Any last words of advice about AV tech, esports?
I think that as esports continues to grow, the way in which the creatives that own and operate the IP are continually aspirational to raise the bar more. We see that in the highest level of professional productions, but we also see what we would consider the grassroots, the citywide, the statewide, the regionals, to follow their footsteps and continually raise the bar. So if you're an AV company and you've heard about esports and you're really not so sure about it, keep your finger on the pulse, because there's a chance that it'll become more relevant to you in the future. But at the same time, if you're looking to get involved with a truly massive international community that also from a revenue perspective has purchasing power, you may be looking in the wrong room, or you may not be looking at all. I encourage you to start that journey, because there's a place for this within your greater strategy. Absolutely.
Love it, man. Thanks so much. I appreciate your time as always, and enjoy Ohio and your new digs, man. I love
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bubba, and thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure. I hope you're doing well overseas, and enjoying everything there is to come with being an international man of culture.
Fish and chips.
Fish and chips. I was going to say tea and crumpets.
Get future ready with Extron Esports AV technologies. Experience better looking images and higher quality sound with AV systems that are easy to control. When it comes to esports, Extron provides the winning edge. To learn more, visit extron.com/esports.